Hi guys, welcome back. This will be video number 5. Hopefully it will be the last video if I'm able to squeeze in everything. We are now on question 2, and the next part was looking at the calculation of financial indicators. The first one was the asset test ratio. I'm not going to do that with you. I know you know how to do this. Please make sure that you know how to calculate all your financial indicators, and you do not need to over rely on the formula sheet, but you need to know your formulas offhand. The formula sheet may assist you, but please do not over rely on it. But there is a question that was interesting, and I thought maybe we could do it together. The one that says calculate the interim dividend per share. The interim dividend per share. You will see that in this year they gave an interim dividend of 318,600. So that means we'll take that 318,600 and we need to divide it by the number of shares. The question is it the 2.1 million shares that we divided by? No, because this was the authorized share capital. And they told us that they gave 70% of that. So if you say your 2.1 by 70%, remember we did that earlier on, and we got 1,470,000. But again, before they issued the interim dividend, they issued an additional 300,000 shares. So that means by 30 September, they were not only having 1,470,000, they had also issued 300,000 shares. So in issue, they had 1,770,000 shares by 30 September when they were issuing the interim dividend. Then you multiply this by 100 over 1. Please remember to show your answers in the right way. In this case, if it's an interim dividend, your answer would be 18 cents. Okay, so please remember to do it the right way. Show the right answer here in the answer column. If it's cents, please show your cents. When you're doing a calculation that gives you a percentage, please also indicate that your answer is a percentage. All right, let's continue. I'm going to go on to question number 3, which is the interpretation of financial information. Okay, so question 3.1 then says the company's total sales from 2023 has increased from 2022 to 2023 rather, and operating activities have been better controlled. Okay, now it says quote and explain 2 financial indicators which indicate better control over operating activities. You have to know your financial indicators and which indicators belong to which group. In this case, the examiner wanted us to talk about financial indicators which indicate better control over operating activities. Okay, so the first one would be your operating expenses on sales. I want to highlight that when you are commenting on your financial indicators, you have to remember these things, that you need to mention the name of the financial indicator. Okay, so you will need the name, and you will need the trend, that is, has it decreased or improved, and you need the figures. Okay, so you need the name, which is your operating expenses on sales, you need the trend, that it has decreased, and then you need the figures. In this case, it has decreased from 21.2 to 17.3. So here we had our operating expenses on sales, operating profit on sales, and net profit on sales. But in all of them, you can see that we have the name, we have the trend, and we have the figures. The next part of the question then says, quote and explain 1 relevant indicator which directly contributed to the increase in sales. So this one has to be related now to your sales. And you can see here, we have the markup, that is the name. You can see here, we're getting a mark for the financial indicator, isn't it? All right. And you can see the markup percentage achieved has decreased from 70 to 55%. So here they want an indicator which has directly contributed to the increase in sales. There is a decrease in the markup. Okay, so reducing the markup resulted in goods being cheaper, which therefore attracted more customers. This is what the examiner wanted us to talk about. Okay, let's quickly come and see question 3.2. It says, identify two financial indicators with figures which indicate an improvement in liquidity of a company. So here we're talking liquidity. You have to know. So far we have spoken on operating activities. We are now speaking on liquidity. You have to know which financial indicators belong to the liquidity group. Okay, so if we come here, there are your financial indicators. And in this case, the examiner wanted us to talk about the debtors collection period. That is the name, you can see that. And then here you can see the figures as well as the trend, whereby we can see that it has improved from 44 days. And then the next one is the creditors payment period, okay, which is 62 days, but it was 45 days. You have to know these financial indicators and to which group of indicators do they belong. And then question 3.3 reads, let's go back to 3.3. It says, the directors decided to increase the loan. Once you hear the loan, there must be financial indicators that begin to ring in your mind already. You can see here, debt equity, percentage return on total capital employed. All right? So these must, once you hear the loan, you have to think about these financial indicators. It says the directors decided to increase the loan at the beginning of 2023. Explain why you agree with their decision. Quote two financial indicators with trends. Number one, debt equity. It increased or deteriorated from 0.3 to 0.4. Okay, now you can see that if you look at the debt equity, it was 0.3, now it's 0.4. Hence, they are saying it has deteriorated. When the debt equity ratio increases, it is not a good thing. That means there is more risk. Hence, they're saying it has deteriorated from 0.3 S to 1 to 0.4 S to 1. The name, the trend, and the figures are all in there. And the next one is the percentage return on total capital employed. We're talking about our ROTCE, which was, here you can see it has increased or improved from 11.5 to 12%. Now, the explanation. Explain why you agree with their decision. Explain why you agree with their decision. Although the debt equity ratio has increased, you can see that it has increased. The company is lowly geared. In other words, there is low risk. It is coming from the fact that it is still 0.4 S to 1. The company does not rely much on borrowed capital. That is very important. So you will mention the name, the trend, and the figures. However, you also need to bring an explanation. Let's go now in explaining gearing. Remember, in the first part, we're explaining risk. Now we're going to explain gearing. The company is positively geared. How do we know that? How do we know that we're positively geared? Because the return on total capital employed of 12%, which is this one here, is higher than the interest rate of 10%. So it means if we want to see that we are positively geared, we have to measure our ROTCE versus our interest rate. If our ROTCE is higher than our interest rate, therefore we are positively geared. But if our ROTCE was lower than the interest rate, then we would have been negatively geared. Now that we are positively geared, it means we're making effective use of the loans to generate profits. We are positively geared. Dear learners, please continue practicing. Whenever you see such indicators, you have to know which group they belong to, and you must be able to quote the name, the trend, the financial and the figures, rather, the name, the trend, and the figures. And you must also be able to bring in an explanation. Alright, this is the end of this video. I'll see if I can do one last one before we wrap up this paper.